Welcome back to my Leica viewers, and thanks for your patience while I get some more Leica videos done. Today I'm going to do a short overview of my entire Leica collection before I make some changes to it. So I'll go over each camera, all the lenses that I have, and accessories. Starting from my first camera that I purchased to my latest, I started out with the Leica CL, and I think this is a good way to get into Leica as a start. It's not quite their entry level, but it is a little bit more affordable than some of their other cameras. This is a 24 megapixel crop sensor mirrorless camera, and build quality is great. It's the smallest and most lightweight Leica that I own. It has the power button and shutter button on the front and the two wheels on the back of the top plate. The LCD is nice and large and clear, and it has a D button pad on the right to navigate, and just 3 buttons on the left side, the play, function, and menu button. The menu system is pretty easy to navigate. They did update it with a firmware update, and it's pretty much the same across all the Leica cameras. So once you learn the menu system from one camera, it carries over to the next. You can navigate it with the directional pad or by touch. All the buttons and wheels are great build quality, so no problems using those. I did notice the electronic viewfinder was very clear and sharp and fun to use. Although when I started comparing this to the Q2 and SL2, I did notice a significant improvement in the EVF and the LCD screens on the latest cameras, especially that small digital screen on the top plate. On the CL, it looks like a throwback to the early digital screens. I believe the CL came out in 2017, so the design is about 5 years old, and some of the technology is showing its age, and I have a feeling they're going to update this to the CL2 pretty soon. There's a standard tripod mount on the bottom plate and a compartment for the battery and SD card, which opens with the flip lock door, and I have no complaints there. I do recommend buying an extra battery since the battery is not super high capacity. I bought this as a bundle that came along with an 18mm f2.8 lens, and that's basically like getting the lens for free because the bundle actually costs $100 less than buying the camera body alone. The quality of this lens is good for everyday use or use as a backup camera, but I wouldn't say anything fantastic. It does take good, clear, sharp pictures, but it doesn't have very good low light capability. The main feature of this lens is the small form factor, so it doesn't stick out much from the camera and makes this camera very portable. Being an 18mm lens and being a cropped sensor, this will convert into a 27mm focal length. I'll show my next lenses in order of focal length, not in the sequence that I purchased them. So the next one is the 23mm f2.0, and this converts to a 35mm focal length. This is a little bit larger, and it makes the overall camera size about the same as a Q2. But I got better performance from this lens, and I think the quality of the photos came out better with this 23mm TL lens. Next up is the 35mm Summilux TL f1.4. And I think this might be the best lens out of the 4. It converts to a 50mm focal length, so it's better for portraits and landscape and architecture, where the 18 and 23mm were better for street photography. This lens has a very good subject separation. It can get very shallow depth of field and bokeh effect, but it is very heavy and very bulky. So this is where some of my accessories come in. I got the hand grip that screws in at the bottom, and this gives a much more secure feel to the camera, especially when there's a large lens attached to it in the front. And I also got the thumbs up grip on the back, which also gives extra security and extra comfort when I'm holding it. And again, I think I got some of my best pictures using this lens. I prefer the 50mm lens for portraits. I think the 35 and 28 focal length still give too much distortion to the face. but the 50 millimeters flattens things out, but it's also very versatile for other uses also. Going back to the camera, I wanted to mention one of my negatives. The two wheels on the back of the top plate are customizable, and by default they change functions according to whatever mode you're in, whether it's program mode or aperture priority mode. So it changes each time you switch modes, and you really have to keep on top of what the functions are. I like the fact that the buttons are unlabeled since it gives it a more clean, minimal look, but after I put down the camera for a while, I have to relearn it and know what all the functions are of the buttons, whether it's aperture control, exposure compensation, or shutter speed. The last lens is another great one. It's the 60mm Apo Macro TL lens, and this converts to a 90mm focal length, which is very long for me, but I mostly use this for the macro function. I use it to film my watches on the desktop, and it's really great quality, coming up close and bringing out all the details of the watch. It is bulky, but it's not as heavy as the 35mm, so it's a little bit more comfortable to use, but I still use the hand grip and the thumbs up accessory with this. Unfortunately, I did drop this on a concrete surface pretty much the day I got it, and you can see some marks on the focus ring, which I covered up with a Sharpie, and a very small dent on the front end. But it didn't break, and it functions just as it should. I should mention that all of these lenses came with the lens hood, but I don't use them at all. They're very bulky, and I don't find that they're really all that necessary. The camera also came with a Leica leather neck strap, but I also don't use that. I got this third-party camera strap from Artisans and Artisans, so this is totally adjustable, and I find it more comfortable to use. The Leica leather strap, while it looks nice, it's not adjustable, so I can't wear the camera lower on the hip with this where I like it. And I store my CL in this Billingham Hadley Pro Small. It has plenty of room, so it fits my entire CL system. The front leather straps are adjustable, and it has plenty of room in the front pockets also, and inside it has very good protection. It's also weatherproof, and it has a top carry handle, and it has a detachable shoulder strap, although it doesn't come with a shoulder pad, which you have to buy extra. But it is bulky to carry, so I don't take it outside with me because I rarely ever need to carry all my lenses with me. So when I take my CL out, I usually take it out in a smaller bag, like this Oberwerth bag. Second Leica camera purchase was this Q2. It has a fixed lens, so it doesn't have the versatility as the CL with switching out the lenses, but the lens that it does have performs so well, and the body itself has so many upgrades, and I just couldn't get over how good this camera looks. It has an updated processor and a full frame 47 megapixel sensor, so there's plenty of room to crop either in camera or editing later on. The build quality again is very solid, has a good weight to it, and the overall size is not too large or not too small. On the bottom there's an extra compartment for the SD card, and there's an upgraded battery on the other side, which has a higher capacity, but it is more expensive. The LCD screen on the back is nice and large and sharp, and the button layout is simple and carries over from the CL, and the electronic viewfinder is also an upgrade compared to the CL. On top is the power toggle and the shutter release in front, and on the left is a labeled shutter speed dial, and on the right is a assignable wheel. I use the wheel to adjust exposure compensation, and then if I press the center button it pulls up my ISO adjustment. It has the macro mode feature, which is convenient to use, but I still think the 60mm Apo macro lens is better for macro than this. It has the markings on the lens barrels, so you can use this for manual or zone focusing if you want to take it out of autofocus. and the aperture control ring is in front of that. But the performance and the quality of this Sumilex lens is so great that you're basically paying for the lens and getting the body for free. I had two quality control issues with this camera. The focus ring is a little bit finicky. It locks into the autofocus position, and sometimes it's a little hard to get it out of that position into manual focus, and a little bit hard to get it back into the lock position. The other issue that happened is that the right wheel top rim cover just came off and came loose during normal operation, and it doesn't snap back on. Looking inside, it looks like it's held on top with some type of adhesive. So I took a small amount of super glue with the toothpick and applied it on the inside rim, and I fastened it back together, and now it's working properly. And now I'm concerned that this or something else might pop off again. As far as straps, again, I don't use the leather Leica neck strap. Right now I'm using this little wrist strap from Tanner Goods. It's nice and small and light, and useful when I want to go out with a minimalist kit. It's mainly there just to give me some reassurance that I won't drop it on the ground. The other neck strap that I use is this Peak Design slide light strap, and this is also adjustable and very comfortable to wear. I also bought an extra lens cover. The lens cover that comes with the Leica kit is kind of a metal covered cap. I didn't want to use this because I thought it might wear down the edges of the lens hood. So the one that I bought is kind of a rubber silicone lens cover, and it's from Match Technical, and it fits just right. It fits snug and it doesn't fall off at all. And I also bought some filters. I have a ND filter and a polarizing filter, and I also have a clear UV filter, which is on the camera right now. Going out and shooting during the daylight and bright sun, I realized I needed that neutral density filter. And the polarizing filter is useful when I'm shooting reflective surfaces such as cars or water. I think I went overboard as far as camera case. I got this leather camera case from Leica, and it's a little bit annoying because you have to screw it on and screw it off each time you want to access the battery or the SD card. And it adds some extra bulk and weight to the camera, and I don't really know if this is needed. I probably wouldn't have gotten this case if I had to do it over again. But I did also get the Leica hand grip, and this is a little bit easier to screw on with that wheel. And it does give a little bit of extra protection and extra comfort when holding this along with the thumbs up. Another benefit is when you set it down on a table, it will sit upright. If it's not on, it'll tip forward with the lens on the desk. Another helpful accessory is this Nitecore battery charger. So you can charge your battery using a USB cable, and I hooked this up to my power bank so I can charge on the go. I haven't used this extensively, but from what I've heard, it's pretty slow to charge, and it doesn't charge the battery up to 100%. I think it only charges it up to 80%. But I normally carry an extra battery with me anyway. And the bag that I use is the Q bag from Oberwerth. It is expensive, but it's custom made for the Leica Q2 and Q. It's weatherproof, has a bright red interior, and has just enough space for the Q2 and an extra battery and some extra cables and filters in the front pocket. One thing is you have to be careful when you close the bag, and you have to make sure it's secure. It has these two pull tabs, but when you close it, you have to make sure they're all the way closed and secure. My most recent Leica camera purchase is this SL2-S. You can tell it's the S version because of the blacked out Leica lettering on the front. Otherwise, it looks very similar to the SL2. This one is a beast. It's very heavy and bulky, especially when paired and bundled with the 24-70 zoom lens. I got this as a bundle, which saves some money, and it also included a free M to L lens adapter. I think this has the most advanced LCD screens and electronic viewfinder out of all three cameras. The graphics are very crisp, bright, and high resolution. Again, the button layout is similar to the Q and CL, with the 3 buttons on the left side, but this has a new rubber joystick on top that takes the place of the directional pad for navigation. Again, the menus are very easy to navigate through, and this also has several function buttons that are totally customizable. I think there's 6 in total. The one by the joystick I use to switch directly from audio to video. The 2 on top I use for exposure compensation and ISO. And the 2 in front by the lens I use for focus assistance. The secure snapping door on the right side contains the dual SD card slots, and the rubber doors on the left side have the audio input, the USB charging, and the headphone jack. I mentioned before that I usually don't use a lens hood, and this is the reason why. The lens hood is so large and bulky, and it's very clumsy to use. And as far as the neck strap, it does come with a padded fabric strap, but I don't use that, and I use the Peak Design slide strap, which is a little bit larger and wider than the other Peak Design strap that I have for the Q2. And for the microphone, I have the Rode shotgun microphone. So this will attach to the hot shoe on top and draw its power from the camera. And the audio jack will insert into the left side of the camera. And it also comes with a fuzzy wind noise protector. And here's the M adapter. So you can attach any M lens to the body of this camera, but then it will still be just a manual focus. There was a sale where this was included free with the bundle. And last, for my accessories, I have 2 tripods. I have this tabletop tripod from Sirui, which is really great quality and useful. And I use this to film my YouTube videos on the desk. And then I also have this larger tripod from Sirui. I was debating whether to get this one or the Peak Design tripod, but I think both of them would work well. For this one, you just have to be careful when extending the legs. Sometimes if you unscrew the locking mechanism too far, the legs will completely detach, so you can only unscrew it a half a turn to lengthen the legs. So those are my 3 cameras for now. I have the versatile and small CL with the interchangeable lenses, and I have the Q2, which is kind of an all-purpose camera, very quick and light. And I have the larger, more capable SL2-S with improved video function. I did end up selling one of these cameras to make room for a new camera. Let me know in the comments what your guess is about which camera I sold and what the next camera is that I'm getting.